Okay, here we have 3 cups of different materials. We have vegetable oil, sunflower oil, and then we have water, and we also have butter, melted butter. So what I'm going to do is freeze this in the freezer, and then once chunks of ice or chunks of frozen vegetable oil or butter form, we want to see if those chunks float on top of the liquid or does it sink to the bottom. And we're gonna see something very interesting about the property of water that's unique to water. Okay, so now I'm gonna put it in the freezer. Okay, now I've taken the glasses out from the freezer, and you can see I've waited a little bit until some of it melts back out. So you can kind of see that the ice is floating on top of the water. You see that there's a gap here below the ice. It turns out that water ice has this amazing property. You see how the ice, the frozen solid ice, is floating on top of the water with about 8 to 9% of it floating on top. So this is what makes life possible, really, this property of water, that frozen water is less dense than liquid water. So this enables oceans to not freeze over. And since ice is a good heat insulator, it keeps the water layer below the ice warm so that the ocean does not freeze over. And just amazing property of water. So now look at the oil here. You can see as it starts to melt, the solid clumps of oil are on the bottom. Most solids are like that. This is the vegetable oil, so it's sunk to the bottom. Imagine if water had been like that, and solid water had sunk to the bottom of the ocean. Then what would have happened is that the top layers would have also froze, and then they would also sink, and then you could have a body of water like a lake or something completely frozen over, and all life form die. So amazing is that you can actually see here the clump of oil, frozen oil, has sunk. And now I'm waiting for the butter to melt. It takes longer to freeze butter and to also melt butter. So as the butter melts, we'll look at a solid clump of butter and see what happens to it. Okay, now the butter has melted, and you can see that the solid portion that hasn't melted is underneath the liquid portion. So it has sunk to the bottom. So you can really tell that, again, butter is like oil and most other substances. When they turn solid, they contract and their density increases, and then they sink to the bottom. Okay, I have now some solid chunks of butter, and then if I put them in the liquid, there's some surface tension here that will prevent them from sinking. But if we push them in a little bit, that's you can see that one of them already sunk to the bottom here from the side. You see, so it sunk to the bottom. So the surface tension is something different. But other than surface tension, if you push them in slightly, then they will sink all the way down to the bottom because they are denser. So then it will go all the way down to the bottom. So you can see that this important property of water, which only water has, is so important for the ice, for solid ice to float on top of water and to create a shield so that the water does not cool. Okay, thank you very much.